Welcome to Driving Forward Podcast. It's October 3rd. Whether you're joining us live or listening on one of our 18 platforms, including Wreaths Across America, where we broadcast every Tuesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m., we appreciate your support. The last week was packed full of events, and I'll just scrape the surface before we bring in our events, and I'm probably going to be a little longer-winded than usual. But Thursday, September 26th at 11:10 p.m. Eastern Time, Hurricane Helene made landfall at Keaton Beach, Florida, beginning one of the most destructive natural events in our nation's history. I don't believe many of us thought that a hurricane would impact us in this particular way. And many areas of the country that never expected to be impacted significantly have been decimated. Our thoughts and prayers go out to those that are impacted by this event, and we truly thank all of those involved in the efforts of rescue and repair. There's so much news in the last week, and I don't want to make light of all the efforts related to the hurricane. But along with that, on Tuesday, the International Longshoremen's Association is the largest union of maritime workers in North America, representing 85,000 longshoremen on the Atlantic and Gulf coasts, the Great Lakes, major U.S. rivers, Puerto Rico, Eastern Canada, and the Bahamas. The ILA began their strike after the union's 6-year contract with the Maritime Alliance expired. I won't repeat what I said on the Tuesday trip, but I'm going to post that in comments here right now, or at least attempt to. The subject is near and dear to many of us in the supply chain, and I know lots of us are talking about it. You don't necessarily see in the news as much information as you'd like, but many of us in the supply chain are following this very closely. Wages, benefits, and work conditions are all reasons people should potentially strike. This strike is about slowing. In my opinion, this strike is about slowing or ignoring innovation. Automation has been capable in the ports for over a decade. Businesses are innovative. Americans are innovative. Humans are innovative. The more innovative we are, the faster newer innovations come out. Change is scary, but trying to stop innovation is nearly impossible. It's built into our human nature to innovate. This is a global economy that requires a global supply chain. There have been many questions about how this strike will impact the supply chain. What products won't make it to market should this continue on for a long period of time? Without getting into great detail, I'll answer it quickly. Business, humans, and Americans are all innovative. They aren't sitting by idly waiting for this problem to pass. There are solves to this problem. Most have been working on it for some time, many for many months. Some solves are harder than others. As this story continues to unfold, it may set the pace for our future. And on a final note with this, there's no reason to panic if you're in the greater United States. Toilet paper is largely manufactured in the United States, and the vast majority of our food is manufactured in the United States. Let's not be crazy, and everyone needs to remain calm. Another fun fact, did you know that in 1960, the ILWU, a similar union to the ILA, and the Pacific Maritime Association fought the deployment of the modern container, what we would now consider a TEU. Peter Cole, a professor at Western Illinois University, said the union got an ironclad promise that not a single worker would be fired. They made sure the existing workers shared in benefits of the new technology and were very aware that it created new jobs. So 1960, with containers, the way that we understand containers today, there was struggle deploying them due to unions as well. This is crazy stuff. So on to our show today. We have Christopher DeMillo, the Vice President of IT with Leonard's Express, with nearly 2 decades of experience in supply chain logistics. Christopher is a visionary in process improvement and the application of technology like AI, machine learning, and automation. He's passionate about transforming the industry, and outside of work, he enjoys traveling with his family, attending sporting events, and hiking in the mountains. Joining Chris is Mike McGovern. Mike is the Executive Vice President of Leonard's Express with 17 years at the company. Mike has been instrumental in shaping us, balancing his roots in Rochester, New York, and has lived in California for quite some time. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Nate. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's been some time. We were just talking about that. I think I saw you both last. Well, Chris, I saw recently in Las Vegas, and Mike, I think it's been since July or so. So yeah. It's great seeing you.
Glad to be here.
Good to see you.
So let's start this out. We wanted to hear the Leonard's Express story, and to be honest with you, the reason, when we met in July, we spoke, and I enjoyed hearing your story. Both of you have unique stories, and you don't talk with a lot of people that spend 20 years at an organization very often anymore. And both of you have that story with Leonard's. Both of you have known each other for a very long time as well. So I thought this was a great opportunity to hear that story again for myself, but also for our listeners. And then, what attracted you to Leonard's Express and sort of how things have gone over the last 20 years. So you guys can tell it together, and we'll see how that goes, because I heard it independently the last time. So,
Chris, why don't you start? You were first on the ship.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. So as Nate had introduced, my name is Chris DeMillo. I've been with Leonard's for nearly 2 decades in their IT department. I was hired by now CEO Kyle Johnson. Leonard's is a family-owned asset-based transportation logistics provider. And at the time, they had all the family in it, right? All the brothers and the sisters, the parents. And I still remember my interview day back in January of 2005, fresh out of college and ready to conquer the world, right? And you go to school and you think you have a plan and you don't really know where you're going to go. I just wanted to do something with IT, right? And so I remember my interview. Kyle brings me in and he shows me the server room, and I'm expecting this massive, large, server room full of stuff. And it's a little IBM AS400 computer sitting in the corner, and my jaw kind of dropped because I felt I was way out of my element. From there, it's sitting in front of the whole family, being asked questions. And I thought that struck me as very, very warm and very good because, first of all, any interview process at any company, anywhere in any industry is very uncomfortable sometimes or stressful. But the way that I was brought into the organization and brought into the family, it kind of just struck a chord and it hit, kind of hit home, right? So you're joining more than just a company, you're more than just a number, and right from the beginning of onboarding and training and being mentored by Kyle and the rest of the family and other leadership in the company, it's brought me a long way in my career, and I'm very thankful to be in my capacity now and be able to help not only the company move forward, but other colleagues in the industry, tech vendors out there, right? As Nate mentioned, I'm very heavy in the process improvement, and so it's exciting times in my specialty here within IT, in particular here with Leonard's, with some of the things we got cooking. But Mike came along, so I'm a Niagara University graduate, go Purple Eagles, and Mike, we share that same link here with our college history. So Mike, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, so my background was in supply chain management coming out of school, and I think at the time what drove me towards that was being a first semester junior going, I got to get hired in 2 years and start paying back some debt. And the supply chain seemed like the avenue to go. And it was at the time, and still is. I was fortunate to be our first management trainee ever hired out of Leonard's. And I began in 2007 and was a benefactor of a lot of great opportunities quickly. It was very early on in our growth trajectory at Leonard's, and Chris's and my stories are very similar to many people at Leonard's. The tenure of a lot of people there we've been with from day one, which is always good to see. I got to spend a lot of time early on in the career working in several different departments, from dispatch, brokerage. They made me spend time in AR, payables, imaging. They wanted me to learn everything. And, shortly after I got hired, Leonard's really started taking off. And I think when I came on, they were sub $40 million a year, and it's been an explosion since. And, led me to California, where I am today, in our operations here in Murrieta. And, it's been a roller coaster. Times are different today for the family-owned transportation company, but, we're here to fight. It's nothing new to us. It might be a little more prolonged than we know. I know Chris feels the same way. Very thankful that we were exposed to so much early in our careers, and really helped us become very well-rounded people.
Yeah.
No, that's a great beginning, and lots of opportunity as you've kind of grown throughout your 2 decades really with the organization, or coming up on 2 decades with the organization. What would you say is the most or some of the more significant changes you've seen either in Leonard's or in the logistics industry over the last 10 to 15 years?
I think it's an adaptation to process, control, and cost. In just a short period of time, the industry has advanced forward quite a bit. If you think 10 years ago, average MPG, low 5s.
Right.
Now carriers of our size, we're knocking on the door of 8. That's significant. But that comes with a lot of controls. It comes with a lot of knowledge. It comes with a lot of really becoming a smart industry, where I think people would argue the ladder of the industry prior to that. and that's come through process improvement, equipment, technology, innovation. You see it everywhere now, whether it's automated work, whether it's machine learning, whether it's better equipment. You can certainly see the investment that has taken place in it. It's an expensive industry. We're full of costs around every corner. And just the current times are even exacerbating carriers to keep working hard at that. I mean, you're not measuring pennies anymore. We're measuring tenths of a penny on certain items and looking to make improvements on it.
Well, I sympathize with that completely. I mean, fuel being the expense that it once was, we kind of got a huge lift in fuel economy 13 years ago, 12, 13 years ago, and then took it in the pants for a number of years, and now it's coming back with technology and management, like you said. So yeah, that 8, some are maybe more, some are maybe less, but management and the capabilities that you now have to manage those details that you didn't have 10, 15 years ago. That's a big change. But Chris, how would you answer that question? What are some changes that you've seen over the last 10, 15 years?
Sure. So I concur and agree with Mike's overall statement there on basically leveling up and the bar raising, becoming smarter. I think a lot of that goes back to information and data. Our industry pumps out a lot of information and a lot of data. And I think we've become a lot better at utilizing it, storing it, understanding it, leveraging it in day-to-day decision making. And through some of that, you have your continuous improvement, your streamlined operations, the connectedness, right? That the entire connection of the supply chain from the shipper to carrier, or even from ocean through intermodal and other modes as well. It's bringing all that together. And so you have these tech leaders in our industry, whether it's a TMS platform or otherwise, that's really investing in all of that connectedness, investing in the data quality or the data harvesting, data storage. So I'm keeping my tech hat on here, right? Because I feel technology has really driven a lot of innovation and a lot of simplification in our industry over the last probably decade or so. And I tell you right now, in the last couple of years, and probably for the next decade or more, there's going to be continuous high investment, and it's very exciting to be in, particularly my position on the IT side, seeing all of this, business problems being solved or addressed and simplified, right? So it's how do we increase velocity and throughput without overhead? How do we reduce keystrokes? How do we make smarter decisions? And I'll give the tout to Leonard's here in our company. We're very tech forward. We're very forward thinking and on that leading edge, maybe not the bleeding edge, but that leading edge. And it's a pretty exciting time.
So I concur with a lot of that. The last 10, even 20 years, I was actually just talking about this with someone. I've been in the industry a little longer than you guys. I'm coming up on my 30 year. And when I first started dispatching, I was on paper cards, and we would hang them on the wall. But you look back, and we had maybe 40 data points that we would track on paper, or eventually on an Excel spreadsheet, and that grew over time. Now look at the thousands of data points that you collect, potentially on a minute by minute, if not faster basis. So trucking companies have become obviously they're companies that move freight, but are they becoming technology companies that are moving freight? And then you look at even a driver today and the platforms that they're operating, and the the technology that they're operating, and really over time they're becoming operators more than anything else. And I know that this is a topic that's difficult to grasp, and it's one that's sensitive for many people, but the I talked about it earlier with innovation. We don't necessarily know where things are going and how long it's going to take to get there. And it's scary. It's scary for everyone, as a business owner, as a driver, as everyone. We don't know where this is going and how fast it's going to take, or how long it's going to take to get there. We just know that it's going in a direction. And if we fight it too hard, it's still going to happen without us, one way, shape, or form. So bleeding edge or leading edge, those are the questions. So,
well, I think the one constant today, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, is still the driver, right?
Right.
And the changes in the industry have created some hurdles there to maintain a relationship and respect for the driver today. It's a craft that we all know is a bit underrepresented in society. It's a sacrifice taken by many that's sometimes can be ignored. And for the people listening on this topic today, they understand it as we do. Maintaining that relationship with driver, I think, is actually one of the biggest hurdles we have today. How do you bring in machine planning and not scare and panic your driving force? Those are becoming, I think, some of our biggest hurdles as executives to make sure you handle that change management properly.
Well, I think it's a reimagination of our freight management and workflows, right? Technology is coming in to help simplify and root out some repetitive, archaic tasks and ways of doing things. But at the end of the day, to Mike's point, this industry is very much people driven. It's a people and relationship driven industry, right? So those will remain a constant, and technology is just going to kind of be an augmentation of our already formed people tasks, right? Or people management.
So real quick, I'm going to respond. McLean, thanks for the comment. He said he just plus one what Chris said earlier about data management and utilization and transportation, and that it continues to drive efficiency and more effective decision making. To piggyback what you just said, Chris, no, I'm agreeing with. I started the industry as a driver, and I'm about as pro driver as anyone can get. And there's absolutely no doubt that the core of any organization that moves freight today is the driving community. And everything that you have to look at there is how do you benefit that community? How do you grow that community? And how do you support that community? So when you look at, deploying the technology, you really have to, look at enhancing it. When you're looking at the deployment of optimization and anything that streamlines your inner office capabilities, it's always about enhancement. So removal of repetitive tasks is about enhancing it. You're keeping people looking at the tasks that require more decision making instead of less decision making. The repetitive tasks go away, and the more important ones that they should be looking at that are more impactful to your drivers are getting more attention. So that's what I think the goal truly is when you start deploying technology. And if you're struggling deploying your technology to reduce those simple tasks, then you have to look at how you're deploying it. Let's go. You had mentioned the ports a little bit, and I know that's a sensitive topic. So obviously I opened with that one on my side. So why don't we go into that and kind of brush on that topic a little bit? Because Leonard's does some business with the ports. So let's just open that one up in a brief discussion. We can go as deep as you guys are comfortable there, and move on to the next topic when you're ready. So
yeah,
Mike.
Leonard's is a multifaceted company, and we're mainly truckload refrigerated. However, we do have a sizable operation in Wilmington, Delaware, where we operate 50 port trucks, and then another 95 units that support what freight comes out of the port. Currently, the status of our operation is, for the majority of it, it's business as usual. We specialize in a lot of refrigerated freight coming in perishables out of the port. Some of those operations are continuing as normal. Some of our operations, however, had to cease immediately. Any equipment that was non-perishable related outside of the port has to stay outside of the port. But certainly there's not truckloads of refrigerated product going rotten sitting at any ports today. And it's a day-by-day discussion that we're having with our customers. I think our main concern right now is the ships that are in the water heading to port, what direction they stay at. That's what we're watching. That's what we're concerned about, and we're tracking day by day. It's nice that we have some flexibility to our department there, that if we have to switch some gears for a few weeks, and move some capacity in some different departments, we can do that. But it's day by day right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, if that capacity if the ships start flowing to the West Coast, you're going to get impacted significantly. I know a number of companies right now out of the Houston area that are mostly idle, and the truckers are getting hit pretty hard here, especially the dray operators are getting pretty hard. I know a few in Savannah as well. Let's hope they resolve this quickly. So, and we can get back to business as usual. Any opinions? I'm going to ask this. You're welcome to hold them to yourself. You're welcome to put them out there.
Without getting too political, it seemed that the point of resolution could have been made quite some time ago.
Yeah.
And a statement's being made, it's being heard. And a lot's happened in large union negotiations over the last 12 to 18 months that I think has created some of this. But it's things evolve, things adapt, things change. The automation, I understand how it scares a lot of groups. And in the same breath, there's employment shortages at these locations, right?
Right.
So it's a difficult argument to understand.
Yeah, overtime's off the charts. Employment shortages. We look at, and I don't need to go too far down the road, but we look at grocery stores are automated. Now you got to go and scan your own groceries. We have to. There's various levels of automation everywhere that we go. We've seen strikes from teachers unions that get pushed back to work. We've seen that from nurses, they get pushed back to work. So, they don't necessarily all get what they necessarily want. So, and I am all about safe working environments, and people should be paid what they need to be paid. But, where I get hung up on this one is the blocking of advancement of technology. Being a technologist, I'm passionate about it, and you just can't stop the wave. So, if what was it I said earlier on Tuesday with Henry Ford, if he would have asked his customers what they wanted, he would have said a faster horse. So, or they would have set a faster horse.
Yeah.
So, you just can't base on what people want. There needs to be an embrace, and this will lead to more jobs. So we don't know what those jobs are yet. Let's go back to a couple more Leonard's questions here, and then maybe we'll take a break real quick. So, how do you? So we talked a little bit about core value, not really about core values, but they were kind of alluded to, which is we moved to talking about drivers a little bit. How do you ensure that Leonard's, with the deployment of technology, with the deployment of new processes, with all these things, how do you ensure that Leonard stays true to its core values? You've been through massive growth, and you've deployed a lot of new technologies, but how do you ensure that you stay true to your core?
I think it's a very good question, because with scale comes change. It's inevitable change. Family members, that once hired us want to look towards retirement. Their children are involved, and how do you keep your core intact and your beliefs intact, and still keep it and still keep moving forward. Certainly right now that's very challenging. Any company that thought they could be the same company they were 2 years ago today, you just can't. And it's, I think, even more compounded that overall the economy is not in a bad spot overall. With the trucking industry and transportation network is in a not good scenario. So that's difficult to manage. You have people that may not be in jobs that are industry specific. That becomes very difficult to control. It's when you have a long stretch of kicking butt, it makes it easier. But I think that's been one of the larger hurdles for us is a big shift in that momentum, because there's stagnant growth, if any, right now. It's a survival standpoint today, instead of growth, conquering and looking at acquisitions. It's maintaining. It's trying to get more efficient, and we're relearning that. I think as an organization, we're learning our path forward, and we actually revised our core values just 6 months ago, or was it the end of the first quarter, I think, right, Chris?
Yep.
Because we felt it needed some adoption. We felt that we had to adapt to a new environment of people. Gen Zs coming out of college today are not wired like me.
Really? Yeah.
I got a couple sitting out that door, and I scratched my head, but they're brilliant.
Yeah,
they are brilliant. You can't fight the changing generation.
Right.
You have to adapt to manage to it, and we still have boomers, we still have Xers and millennials, and they share a room together. That's difficult, but
yes,
you can't fight it.
I would say, and I would add to that, transparency is key, I think, and a clear message, right? And whether it's a technological solution, a structure or organizational change, a mission statement change, or focus, right? It's transparent, clear communication, alignment at the top, from an executive down, and it's all, saying the same message, beating the same drum. And if you can define that and structure that and disseminate that out throughout the organization, I think that's going to be key, right? Communication is very critical with really any significant change or any change at all, but when you're injecting a technology solution or otherwise, your people want to know the why, and we are, we're redefining some communication. I don't want to call them policies, but just the way we interact with the people in the departments and organizations.
And learning to do things a little bit different too. I mean, we used to conference and have annual get-togethers, and it's tough to pull things off like that today,
Right.
costs and otherwise. So and you feel that you yearn that connection amongst your people. I
Right.
mean, we're all over the country and we're separated. And we've certainly have had our missteps along this journey where we are today. I'd like to see a lot of that change to get back to, but a lot of it's this, connecting on video screen more and more. And, I try to use technology as much as possible to keep some sort of personal connection to that. You can't fly everywhere. You can't be everywhere. It's sometimes better than a phone call, text, and email. Get the individual on a camera, have a Friday afternoon chat with. Business is easy when you feel like you're winning.
Right.
It's easy, and the whole league in transportation, we all feel like down in the dumps some days. A lot of it's in our control. Most of it's not in our control today. We're along for the ride, controlling the messaging, and it's understandable to have people that are feeling funny about their jobs today, or feeling angst. And it's identifying it and talking through it and being as transparent as possible. And it's
Right.
sometimes hard for mid-management to lay out some bad news, right? So you can't always depend on those chains of chains of communication to help you there, and really being as transparent as possible to the entire group as much as possible is really helpful. And we've tried new programs with our drivers on getting them on engagement calls to where it's, we want to avoid the town hall situation with our drivers, but let's open them up to what we're seeing in the industry, what we're feeling. Let them be a part of it and be on an open video. They can sign on anywhere in the country and be a part of these issues with us instead of just dictating down. So we're experimenting with a lot of different avenues to keep that connection that we felt, and the empowerment I think it gives the people to be part of the solution.
Oh, that's a great answer, and I can agree with you there entirely. It's difficult. It's different than what it was 10 years ago, and it's harder to get together now for a variety of different reasons. And I'm going to hold on to these thoughts. I'm going to come back with a technology related question around change. You guys have made a couple major changes with technology here in the last few years. So we'll talk about that. We've already talked a little bit about it, but be more generic around this question. We have a couple commercials coming up. I'm not sure if they're going to play in sequence or if we have to play them back to back, but we'll be back in a couple minutes.
Hi, I'm Madison from Leonard's Express. If you're a professional Class A driver and are looking for a company that simply does things the right way, Leonard's Express is the family to join. Do you like to run coast to coast? Do you have a family and need more quality home time? Well, we have over-the-road, dedicated, and local routes. Our goal is to provide our drivers with a great work-life balance. Not only do we offer competitive pay, benefits, numerous home time options, top-of-the-line equipment and technology, but we truly look out for our drivers, want to put them first, and put them in a position to succeed. At Leonard's, drivers are not only a part of our family, but they're the heart of our company. Make a living by making a difference at Leonard's Express.
If your fleet's downtime looks like chaos, you're missing out on GLCS. In the fast-paced world of trucking and logistics, time is everything. Meet GLCS, your expert partner in managed IT services. We integrate seamlessly with your team, bringing seasoned IT professionals with deep transportation and logistics expertise. Imagine your software updates running smoothly, complex issues resolved quickly, and operations humming with efficiency. GLCS has your back. Our support doesn't just fix problems, it prevents them. With our industry connections and proactive approach, we keep your trucks rolling and your brokers working. Think of us as the added resource your company needs to unleash its full potential. Visit glcs.net today and keep your business driving forward. GLCS, where efficiency meets expertise. And we're back. All right. So how is technology driving? So to piggyback that last question, how is technology? Real quick, before we go into actual, I just got a frost advisory for tonight. That sucks. So just that sucks. I'm not ready for it yet. I mean, I know you guys New York, I'm Minnesota. So you guys aren't too far off from where I'm at, but it was just 80 here the other day. So that's just not fair. So so to piggyback the question, how is technology driving change in the logistics industry? And I think we already talked a little bit about this, but particularly at Leonard's.
Sure. Mike, you want to tee that one off?
Yeah. So I think in the last 12 months, we've adapted several new changes to our technology portfolio. The first big one was Isaac. We moved all of our ELDs into Isaac this last February. We completed that task, and it certainly was a provider that had a lot more horsepower for us, that could lead a lot of the data-driven decisions in a better direction for us. And Chris spearheaded that. And I think we thought it was going to be very painful. Because it's a lot of mix between machine, people, and learning that's got to happen quickly to pull that off. But we did it rather quickly throughout the country, and it was pretty successful. And then obviously for a long time we've been researching an AI platform to help us in planning load acceptance, making smarter decisions with our trucks. And we did that with Optimal Dynamics, and we've also partnered with KSM on Freight Math to be a little bit more to guide us into understanding our network a little bit more than its DNA. And we have them all working in combination right now. OD was the most recent to be started going. We're only 4 weeks into that. But have I missed any new changes we've made this year, Chris?
From a technology perspective, no, those were two big endeavors.
Keep bringing new ones to me like every other week. So I feel like, that was a lot this year. We can slow down a bit. We can.
Yeah. There's certainly a lot out there. And I think going back, taking a step backwards there and how we're approaching some of this freight tech solutions that are out there. We love technology, right? And I don't think we're alone in the industry. I think that there's a lot of gravitation to new shiny things. I know I'm guilty of it, right? I see bells and whistles out there and I see a problem, how that correlates internally, and I want to ram it in. And that's just my style to go. But I think something we've done very well in the last probably 3 years or since COVID was slow down the evaluation, the procurement process, and the decision making, and it's getting different. A cross-functional team internally here to evaluate that solution, put it through its motions, do the proof of concept, proof of value, understand really the business problem we're trying to solve here at Leonard's. And out of that process change in the last several years, we've been able to accomplish a couple of these new endeavors that Mike had mentioned this year pretty successfully. And I'm very excited to be a part of some of that.
It's easy
leading
to
edge change.
It's easy to fall victim of buying the new shiny object and not getting it going.
Very.
Very easy. And it's a costly mistake. And a lot of it's just slowing down that process of reviewing what we're going to do. I think with OD, it was an 18-month endeavor that we took very seriously from when we started searching to implementation.
Well, if you get it wrong, it's far longer than 18 months, and it's far more costly than a one-time purchase. So getting it right is imperative, and taking that extra time, especially for an organization your size, you just have to make the right decisions, especially for the larger purchases. The smaller purchases, you can shoot from the hip if you need to, or you make multiple purchases and decide. But the larger purchases like ELD and optimization, those have to be correct. You can't. The cost of making poor purchases, they impact drivers, they impact staff, they impact morale, and you just can't have that. So.
Well, and we, part of our, or at least part of my thought process in all of that investment and alignment is working with the right vendors that are willing to grow and work with you too. I can go buy any product off the shelf and stuff it in, right? But it's finding the right organization or the right people, the right strategies. Because there's no perfect solution out there, right? Every product, every vendor, every solution is going to have a bugaboo about it, right? But can it be overcome? Can we figure out a different solution? Are they willing to work with us to figure out a different solution? And that what makes me that makes me pretty happy over the last several investments or partnerships that we've had is being able to grow and work together and further enhance, further simplify, further integrate, right? Integration is so key right now with data.
No, great answer. I'm going to roll back on this question just a little bit. Do you feel, and it's maybe outside of what you've just called out in the way of the two solutions, but do you feel, overarching in transportation, that there's any specific technology that's maybe driving change for the industry right now, or pushing change for the industry right now, whether you've adopted it or not? Just what do you feel maybe is leading that?
I think it's a different answer depending on the size of your organization,
Sure.
Right? If you're sub 20 trucks, you're trying to find a way to get freight in your door easier, with less hurdles, more consistency for your drivers. If you're someone of our size, you're trying to find data processes that are easier to find efficiencies and so solutions that we needed desperately aren't quite what a 10 truck operator needs.
Right.
So I don't know if there's a one size fits all answer there. I mean, certainly we both need better paying freight today. I don't think anyone would argue that. But that may not be a technology driven solution. But I think the size of the organization really dictates different needs today.
That's fair enough. Chris, do you have an answer to that, or?
Well, I think I agree with Mike here on the carrier side. It depends on the size of your organization and the different sectors or problems that you're trying to solve. I think the industry as a whole, there's so much opportunity or disruption happening, right? Whether it's on the shipper side, whether it's the middleman platforms of the world, and the carrier side, all the way down to right in cab technology. So, I think that the scope of injecting technology is endless, and there's a lot of big players out there. There's a lot of VC money coming in, and there's a lot of problems to solve. If chances are, if you're a carrier or logistics company and you've got a business problem, chances are 300 other people do, and there's a solution out there for it, right? So and it's navigating. I think the bigger problem right now and I know I've seen it or I'm experiencing it, I think, is navigating through all of the solutions, navigating through the weeds of all the stuff that's popped up, figuring out the long players, figuring out really what's going to stick in the industry, and grabbing onto it and running with it.
That's primarily what I do for a living. So I agree with you entirely. There's so many.
Something I do want to back up that we should have mentioned is no matter the technology that we choose or the devices we put in, the risk control component and safety component and how it works throughout the your organization is just as important as the bottom line. And it all has it's all connected. Decisions and process changes at the dispatch level impact your drivers and their safety. And that is the one universal thing, that needs to be the forefront of all carriers as a whole. And it's something that we hold very sacred at Leonard's. But there's technology out there that's changes a driver's daily routine, changes the way they drive, what they're comfortable with. If we don't make sure that they're comfortable with it prior, it's a big deal. So it's certainly that's one component when you're looking at any technology that the focus has to stay on.
No, great point. I'm going to add to that to a little bit, or add a little bit to what you just said. So when you are searching, if anyone's searching for a technology platform, ensure that the reason you are searching for a technology platform is to exploit a positive, not to exploit a negative. So I was speaking with someone and they said this new solution allowed them to do more spot market freight. And I said, is that what you really want to do? And they said, well, no, but it allows us to do it faster. And I said, well, then why would you do that? Why not just sell? Why would you double down into that particular solution to allow you to be more accessible in the spot market? A perfect example of that. But always look at technology solutions. If it allows your team to practice poor processes, and there are lots of solutions right now out there that are allowing companies to do this, whatever those poor processes may be, don't go down those roads. Safety, operations, sales, marketing, there's lots of great solutions that offer optimization and optimization and enhancement to your operations and back office. So just beware of those solutions. Gentlemen, we're running out of time. I had a whole bunch of other thoughts that we could have probably went through, but we tied up a good portion of the hour here. Anything else that you want to touch on before we wrap this one up? You all good?
I think we're good.
Chris, where can everyone find you?
Where can everyone find me?
Yeah.
LinkedIn, right? If you're on that platform, my profile's out there under Leonard's. Other than that, I'll be in my corner office with the door closed, trying to make Mike happy.
Fair enough. Mike, how about yourself?
I'm best on most social media platforms. my email, if you want to put it out there, Nate, that's fine. But I feel free to give a call anytime.
We'll hit you up on LinkedIn. And once again, I appreciate both of you coming on. Actually, we got a last minute comment from Matt Ruth. So great discussion, guys. Very insightful views and advice that have the right mix of optimism and realism. So appreciate it, Matt. Once again, appreciate you both coming on. Mike, you mentioned that you might be going to Broker Carrier Summit. You still going, or
I'm not making it. I got a brutal travel schedule coming up, and I know Troy Whitman from the Leonard's Express will be representing us there. I really wanted to make that this year, but I'm not. Wasn't in the cards this week.
Fair enough.
It's in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, it's the end of the month, but yep. So fair enough. Maybe we'll see you in April. So, but appreciate it, gentlemen. I'm going to wrap this up. You're welcome to hang out. Otherwise, I will catch you on the flip side or see you somewhere down the road.
Good to see you, Nate.
All right. Good to see you, Nate.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
All right, that was insightful. So we'll get this one wrapped up. GLCS will be at ATA MCE October 12th through 15th in Nashville, Tennessee. We have not got a card on this one yet, so we don't have anything to show. If you're going to be there, reach out, and we'd love to chat with you. Following that, as we just talked about, we'll be at Broker Carrier Summit. The event's October 23rd through 25th in Dallas, Texas. BrokerCarrierSummit.com. At the Broker Carrier Summit, we're on a mission to transform the relationship between carriers and brokers, say goodbye to distrust and hello to mutually beneficial partnerships. We believe the key to this transformation lies in fostering open communication, enhancing education, and meaningful connections. If you're going to FreightWaves F3, November 19th through 21st, or if you're around Chattanooga during that time, Freight Movement is throwing the legendary Venture 53 Trucker Bar party that promises great music, ice cold drinks, and unbeatable vibes. Whether you're a trucker or just in the mood for a good time, this event has something for everyone. Bring your crew and get ready for a night of fun and excitement. Don't miss out. This one will be for the books. We'll see you at the Boneyard. I'll drop a link in comments for that event too. There's an Eventbrite for sign up. Excited to see everybody at F3 and at the Boneyard. There we go. I think I got that one out on events now. If you're going to Manifest and need a ticket, please use our Freight Movement discount code manifestvegas.com/Freight Movement. Your support is appreciated. At Freight Movement, we're not just about events, we're about movement, about a movement reshaping the future of trucking and logistics, and we're happy to be a partner with Manifest. Speaking of Manifest, another freight podcast with Whitney Johnson Cowell and Robert Bain is dropping tomorrow with Katie Date, the Senior Vice President of Industry Relations and Strategic Initiatives for Manifest. Check it out at noon tomorrow. We're fairly stacked up on guests for the show, but if you'd like to be a guest on the show, let us know. Reach out via messenger or email us at drivingforward@glcs.net. We'd love to chat with you about coming on. In addition with that, let's see, coming up next week, we have Broker Carrier Summit. Dan Lindsay and Robert Bain on, chatting about all things Broker Carrier Summit. Once again, that's coming up. I'm very excited about the next 3 months. We actually are pretty full. We're talking about potentially doing a bit more content than what we currently have up, but the following week we're going to talk all things freight movement, because that's sort of firing off here as well. That should do it. Appreciate everybody watching. Stay curious, stay informed, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Until next time, drive forward with purpose and innovation. Thanks for watching.